face front, true believers. Welcome to the Pitch Nerds. We are the weekly show where two nerds bring you the latest in nerdy news, reviews, and occasionally pitch things. I'm Cap, and joining me today is always best friend, fellow nerd, and I don't know, just overall kind of good guy, Mr. Frosty.
I mean, you're probably right. I mean, who of us is really, truly a good guy? Man is truly a dichotomy of both evil and good.
Yes.
That's the problem with today, man. Is like we like to crucify people, but like nobody is 100% good. You know,
Right.
everybody's got like it's like fame, right? You
Right.
start and they're like, this guy's great because you know little about him. Then as time goes on, people start trying to find out. And then it's like the things that they may have made mistakes in the past suddenly become like, this guy's an asshole.
Right. But should that really reflect their art, though? Like,
I agree with you.
Can people separate one from the other? Like,
try and separate art from reality. I shouldn't have moved that. Trying to get it like so it's.
That's good. Oh, I'm in my comfies and I have my delicious cup of Darth Vader coffee.
Looks good.
Oh, it's superb. It's chilly out. Holy smokes! For being like near the end of May, it's been like in the 60s, like for the past month and a half.
Yeah. It's been well. It seems to vary up here. It'll either be like, you know, like NorCal cold, which is like for some reason, even though I've lived colder places, NorCal cold like chills you to the bone.
Mm-hmm.
And then, or it's like, because where my room is and the way the sun hits it and everything, like it just boils up in you. That and you don't have a PS5 yet, but if you turn on like the original PS5 had a big heat sink.
Mm-hmm.
The new one has more efficient fans.
Right.
The fans actually, while they blow out hotter air, they keep the internal temperature a little bit cooler.
Mm-hmm.
But that means your room starts to like cook.
Oh,
because
God.
the amount of heat that comes off that thing is just like, I mean, it's great in the dead of winter. I'm like, I'm cold. I'll just turn on my PS5.
That's awesome. So, yeah, eventually, I'm trying to get some things sorted, but a PS5 is in the probably about relative future, not distant future, not next week, but somewhere down the line, I'm going to get a PS5. I just don't really play games anymore.
Yeah, you should. They're pretty fun.
I know. I like writing. Like, I'm happy.
Who says you have to do one or the other?
Though? I know.
Like,
just
like you can do both. I mean, and sometimes it's a good idea because playing games and reading, well, especially reading books is good.
Right.
Because it gives you words.
Mm-hmm.
But all of that thing, because it feeds your imagination.
Right.
But yeah, books especially. A lot of writers talk about how they need their what do you call it? The words being fed to them. People that are like writers that are blind will often have people read to them just so they can get that same sort of thing going.
Right.
Anywho, good morning, everybody.
Hi.
I want to give a special shout out. I'm going to post it in the coffee. Special shout out in the comments. Give me 1 second. I think I already copied and pasted. Yes. Sean at Bending Frames said he'll be joining us this morning. If you already are, say hello.
Yo.
But at Bending Frames is his Twitter link. Cool guy. I met him this week, and he messaged me directly and said he plans to check out our stream. And I said, great. We mostly discuss Marvel, DC, and Star Wars stuff. Hope you like it. And he said he's never really followed any of that stuff, but he thinks that's the great thing about podcasts because he likes to learn about stuff. So hello, Sean. It looks like he's on Twitter right now. It says, it completely blows my mind keeping up with Kardashians has 20 seasons. Who the hell is watching this shit? I agree.
One could pass me in the street and I wouldn't bat an eyelid. I probably wouldn't even know.
Yeah, I wouldn't recognize him either.
Right.
Yeah, like they all kind of blend together. I don't know
Right.
who is who. I know one of them's name is Kim or something. Like that's about it.
I don't know. Yeah. Are they a part of the Housewives thing, or is it a different thing?
No, okay, I could be completely wrong on this, but I think their fame came about because aren't they like Johnny Cochran's daughters or something?
Oh, that's right. OJ's lawyers, or
Yeah, and then they got their fame from that point forward.
oh, what a legacy.
Yeah. Um. Anyway, one thing I also wanted to mention is we were talking about it this morning. Indie comic, The Little Mermaid, hilarious. Their Kickstarter just went live. I'll see if I can post their information too. It's a comic based on Ariel and all of that, but instead of it being what you would expect, she's a mercenary. And the tagline is "Things are better downward, or things are deader down where it's wetter."
That's badass.
And she's got like a Gatling gun and stuff like that. I said it to my friend, and who's not really a comic person. She's like, "Is that a porn action Little Mermaid?" And I was like, "No." Like,
oh man.
She just saw that the Little Mermaid is drawn a little
seductively,
suggestively, shall we say?
I mean, wasn't she also in the Disney movie? Let's be honest here.
Kind of. I mean, but they all kind of are. I mean, if you want to like get technical,
right? Well, speaking of Little Mermaid, there's been the rabbles about the new Disney's live action Little Mermaid coming out. They've been posting little clips. Gorgeous fucking movie. Holy shit, gorgeous fucking movie. Saw a couple of the musical.
You can get to his Kickstarter there. I just posted that as well.
All right, cool.
Put it up in the YouTube chat. If needs be, I'll log into Twitch and drop a link there too.
All right.
Just let me know. But you can also find all this stuff on our Twitter.
But anyways, saw a couple of the clips from the new Disney live action Little Mermaid. Gorgeous movie. Heard a couple of the songs. Not a fan of the rap. Apparently, there's a rap in this.
Yeah, I heard the up there song. I want to be up there. Yeah. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was good. They released a clip of was it Ursula's song, and it's fine, but again, it's visually gorgeous movie. Holy shit! I might just. I know the youngin wants to see it. I'm not sure if Mrs. Cap wants to see it, but I'd be down to see it and just sit back and just watch it. It's almost like Avatar, where you can just sort of shut your brain off and just watch it. For,
there's some movies that I watch just for the art style.
Yeah.
One of them was what do you call that? Maleficent. I don't think the movie was that. It wasn't terrible,
right?
But it wasn't great. But the art style was stunning. But yeah. So what am I thinking? Oh yeah. What did you think? Like, do you have like the thing I don't get is the people are all upset about the controversy about like, oh, they made her a black. It's like she's a mermaid. Those aren't real.
Right.
She could be rainbow colored. Not only that, it's an adaptation of an adaptation.
Right.
The original novel was just, I think they described her as having
gills,
translucent skin.
Right.
And that I think they described her lips as well, or something like that.
Right.
And so yeah, like I mean. Maybe calm down. Like,
so I will say this: I love how they animated her tail. Like, if you haven't seen it, again, it's a very gorgeous movie. As far as how the animal mouths move, they've done a little bit better.
There's a still shot going around on Twitter, and it's her driving the carriage, the prince sitting next to her, and then the horse pulling it, and they're putting it side by side next to the Disney one. First, still shots are not ideal because it's a motion medium. So pointing out something being bad by taking a still from a movie is dumb.
Right.
But the I mean, yeah, the animated one looks better because like they're much more animated, you know,
Right.
like they're smiling and the prince looks bored. She just looks like I'm driving.
Right.
But the one point I always make to that is, well, at least she's got her eye on the road, you know?
Yeah.
Like in the other one, she's looking at him, he's looking at her, the horse is looking back.
Right.
Not even the horse knows where it's going. They could careen right into someone. That's not very safe.
That was a
Um,
great scene. So it's you're able to convey certain emotions better through animation because you can exaggerate things, and that's
well,
why.
it's true of musicals too. Musicals have more exaggerated
Right.
emotions.
And that's sort of I think Lion King suffered from that. Is you take something is you take animals, but you give them human-like expressions, and you can become they become recognizable by the audience. If you just take a CGI lion just kind of moving its little mouthy bits with no expression, it's just it was weird.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
bizarre.
Well, also like it's animals have like I can read Brimstone
Yeah.
all the time and his emotions and expressions and all that kind of stuff, but most people can't. You know,
Right.
I can see what's I hang out with him 24/7, so it's like,
Right.
yeah, I know what he's thinking. You know, like we've developed a communication. But if I just came across a random cat,
Mm,
I wouldn't be able to do that, and I
right.
think that's the problem because they try to make it very live action. I mean,
Mm,
obviously it isn't, but it's harder to read those things on animals, like unless
right.
you anthropomorphize them,
Right.
which is what we got in the movie,
Right.
in the animated movie.
Right.
I
Right.
got a long discussion about the whole Kimba thing. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah. How Lion King is a ripoff of was it some anime
Yeah,
Kimba?
ripoff is a
Or,
strong word, but it definitely borrows or is heavily inspired by it.
mhm.
But then this guy from like Thailand was like, screw you and your freedom and your Western thing. And I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're pissed off at me because I liked Leo the lion as a kid or Kimba the,
Right.
like, it was Leo to me.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, man.
Well,
People in there.
Mrs. Cap is a huge Lion King fan. It's all throughout the house. Actually, here's some right there. Mrs. Cap's Lion King stuff. That's her favorite. I like Scar. He's a cool character. He was always one of my favorite Disney villains.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with watching Kimba, or again Leo.
Hmm.
So I was kind of when I watched Lion King, I was like, oh, it's kind of like that.
Right.
But I mean, the thing is though, like people are like, oh, it's not the same because they point out where it's different, and yeah, there's a crap ton of differences. But to be honest, though, like Kimba was a long running series across, like a long period of time. Where, of course, there's going to be more differences because it's such got
Right.
way more content.
Right.
But there's clearly a lot of inspiration pulled from it.
Yeah. It's okay. It's Hamlet with lions. Yes.
Yeah, which oh god, that Thailand guy, it was like oh, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, I don't care that he's from Thailand. It's just that he kept identifying himself as Thai and then saying how stupid the West was. So that's where the conversation went. At that point, I bounced out. I was like, dude, I don't want to be a part of this. Goodbye.
Good for you. Um. Anyways,
Anyway, shall we jump into some nerdy news?
yeah. Actually, what are we talking about today? What do we got? We got on.
We got nerdy news. We've got Unicorn Warriors Eternal. We're gonna review the first two episodes.
Yes.
I know the other two have dropped a cap, and I just haven't seen them yet.
I'm gonna watch them.
Then we've got Battle Nerds, Spider-Man versus Ninja Turtles. Then we got Behold Nerds, where we'll be talking about The Mask.
Yes.
We were going to do our pitches for Superman, but I've not been feeling well this week, guys. So I haven't really had a chance to get to it, but I'll try and get to it for next week. And then if we have any leftover time, I want to discuss the Watchmen movie.
Okay.
So pretty busy schedule. So yeah, let's jump into nerdy news.
Nerdy news. Lead the way.
All right, so first off, Super Mario Brothers movie. It's now the second highest grossing animated film of all time domestically.
Nice.
Yeah, it is.
What's number one for animated?
I,
I think it might be Lion King.
yeah.
Yep.
No, I didn't look.
Actually, I actually think it might be the Lion King.
It
Mrs.
might
Cat would know
be.
that.
Yeah. Okay, let's look.
Yes.
Highest grossing
Animated
animated movie domestic. Toy Story.
Toy Story. Yes. God, I forgot about Toy Story. God, that movie's gonna be 30 years old soon. Holy shit.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it was a huge success.
Right.
All right. So what else we got? Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen Super Mario Brothers?
No, I'll watch it when it's on the telly. It's
People keep uploading it to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And then it plays on there for a while until Musk takes it down because he's allowed people with blue check marks to upload 2-hour videos. So it just keeps getting uploaded. See the John Wick franchise. That's also doing really well. That's past 1 billion worldwide.
Nice. Still haven't seen the latest one though. My goodness gracious, I want to see it really bad.
Yeah, I have yet to see the latest one as well. It's harder for me to get to theaters these days though with my health conditions.
Yeah.
We just got a new teaser for Secret Invasion.
I haven't seen it yet. I don't think I've seen that one yet.
Premieres on June 21st. A lot of people I've noticed have a lot of opinions about this. The main thing I can take away is this is very different than the comic. If you're familiar with the like, people are using that like, oh, wait until you read wait until you see Secret Invasion. It's like, dude,
it's not going to be Secret Invasion.
Trailers, it looks like miles different. I don't foresee having this giant showdown with all the heroes against all the Skrulls.
Right.
This looks like a Nick Fury centric story. The new trailer he talks about, I got to do this alone and all this kind of stuff. And they're like, why haven't you called your special friends? And he's like, yeah, I can't do that. And there's a lot. I mean, maybe a couple of Avengers show up. It doesn't look like it. It looks like a spy thriller.
Right.
Which the other one had elements of, but it was more like, oh, this happened, and then this happened, and then, oh, this spaceship, and they were the original heroes. But are they? No, they turned out to be Skrulls, and they didn't even know,
Right.
And so, yeah, it was more like a whodunit kind of thing, but with like an epic giant battle.
Right.
Whereas this looks more like
brought down. Scale.
Yeah, and like, but also a different style entirely. You know
right.
what I mean?
Well, if I were to place my bets, I think that Maria Hill is potentially a Skrull. She'd be perfect.
Yeah,
like
she was one of the ones that was definitely not a Skrull in the comic, though.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just saying, going against what I just said. But.
Right. But I think as far as the MCU, where she's sort of like Nick Fury's number 2.
And well, she was in the comics as well.
But. Yeah. I don't know. I could see them pulling a twisty on that one.
Yeah, she was like the only one. Why are you doing that? What a weird cat. He's like, I have like
weird, bro.
Yeah, I know, but he's like turned himself liquid and squeezed into this like tiny little space underneath the desk that I'm at, and like, oh no. There we go. You got it.
Jesus.
Anyway, let's see. Oh, and then there was a lot of talk about this. I was reluctant to bring it up, but I thought we should. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You have strong opinions about this.
I do.
Couple of things. Let me just throw this out there. So it's got a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes based on 29 critical reviews.
Right.
Which isn't terrible.
That's not bad.
The review that I read was the synopsis. It delivers in bringing a fun adventurous time, but the stakes never reach full potential. So it sounds like people are going, it's pretty okay.
Yeah.
one thing that constantly gets brought up is leave Harrison Ford alone. But
Leave him alone.
that's not what he wants.
I know it just goes to show
Direct
that
quote.
if you waft a bag of money big enough in anyone's direction, they will.
Yeah, but that's not according to him. I mean, yes, you may be right, but according to the man himself,
Mm.
direct quote: "Everything has come together to support me in my old age, and I love to work. I want to work and to tell good stories. I've been so lucky in my life and to have been able to do that. Though he is now leaving after this movie, and he wants to retire him as the character. So,
Right.
but that's why he keeps doing stuff is because apparently because he can.
He just wants to retire the character so he can live out the rest of his days just enjoying his bowl of soup on a
Yeah, I know,
porch
but
somewhere
the
on a
reason he keeps
Florida
working is
veranda.
because he can.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's fair enough. If I'm 80 and I'm rich and I can do whatever the fuck I want and what I enjoy doing is making movies, then fine.
Good for him.
But yeah, so what are your thoughts? Like, 'cause I know
I
you have
I
them
don't
on
care
Indiana.
about this movie. I just don't look. I don't care if it's on Disney Plus. I might eventually watch it. It feels gratuitous. Just the franchise, you tack on the fourth one. I guess it had a reasonable conclusion. I'm not sure if they brought back Shia LaBeouf on this one, but I mean, I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to watch it. I just don't care.
I mean,
Oh,
I'm not gonna go see it in theaters,
it's
but
so
like,
it's like one of the eighth most expensive movie to make.
yeah,
So
I heard it's costing a lot as well.
So
Yeah.
it's got to make a lot of money in order to break even. And from the early reviews, I don't know if the excitement's there. It's just as a indie fan, and God, you know what? It'll make a great whole nerds again because I haven't watched indie in probably 20 years. It's fun swashbuckling adventures. You have Steven Spielberg just he sort of captures that imagination and just he's really good at the world building and creating villains. And it after the third movie, it's over with. It's done. It didn't need to keep being rehashed. I don't know. Disney has it. They're probably going to retire Harrison Ford and then bring in somebody else to wear the hat, and then just
Well, that was the original plan they were gonna have. What was the guy in Last Crusade that they had him in the beginning of the movie, but then he died or
yeah,
something?
River Phoenix,
Yeah, he was supposed to be the new Indy.
right?
And then it didn't happen, obviously. But okay, so here's my opinion. I will not see it in theaters just because, like I said, I have trouble getting around, and when I go to a theater, it's generally going to be something I'm like, this is something I have to see in theaters,
Right.
you know,
Like Spider-Man.
and like generally like Marvel films and DC and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna try and see the Flash in theaters.
Right. You have to.
But then, anyway, but so this is not that. However, it's got. I'm interested to know what audiences think because if audiences turn out and like it, and it has a positive audience score, which often with a 50 in reviews, that means audiences generally like it.
It'll probably get to a healthy 65 if I were to.
I'm saying, but if it comes out and it's like an 85 or something like that, I mean, like I like the idea. I'm okay with it. I like Indiana Jones. Fourth one wasn't great, but I mean, yeah, if it's a fun adventure film and with like one last hurrah with Harrison Ford, then yeah, I'm okay with that. I'll go watch it. You know,
Yeah.
I'll rent it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm okay with it, and yeah, I mean, me and you talked a little bit, but I do wish the film well. I hope they do well. Like, and I would like. I'm actually also kind of down for the idea of more Indiana Jones, just with a different actor, or maybe like not Indiana Jones, but like he passes the hat on to like one of his students or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I like those style movies, like The Librarian, Indiana Jones, all those kind of things. What's it? Is a little bit of it the Nicolas Cage film? And that's
Which one?
where he puts the Constitution in the oven. Did you see that one?
National Treasure.
National
Yeah,
Treasure. Yeah, that's got a little bit of the same Indiana Jones feel to it. I
yeah.
kind of like it. I don't think you'll ever surpass Last Crusade. I think that's the best one. But hey, cat,
That
can you
was the one
stop?
that I never liked as a kid because you went
Really?
from. So Indiana Jones did this thing where it's almost like James Bond of like archaeological adventures. So every movie sort of was self-contained with new characters being introduced from Indy's life, but they never really tied through to the other movies. So I think the first one was the best personally. I really like this.
That Raiders was the prequel. First one was which one? Last Crusade was the third
So
one.
Temple of Doom was supposed to be the prequel, and
Temple of
then
Doom. Raiders of the Lost
Raiders of the
Ark.
Lost Ark, and then Last Crusade.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think Raiders of the Lost Ark is. They're like I think they're like right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're both like really good.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I would be down to revisit them one day.
I actually make a
But
really
yeah,
good Indiana Jones cosplay too. I have his jacket right here, the official Indiana Jones leather jacket.
yeah, dude. I mean, I like Indy as a character. I think he's dope. That's what I mean. I'm okay if they continue it. It just has to be done well.
Right.
And I don't. And as you say, like Harrison Ford is too old now, so we need to. If we were to continue it, we need to pass a passing of the torch. You know,
Right.
and I think you could do that with the right actor. But I don't want to do it. I wouldn't do it as a young Indy. I would do it as like take my hat off, put it onto you.
Frosty, I am sensing a future pitch here.
but yeah, like you know what I mean. Like I think that would be a cool way of doing it, and like yeah, just let him retire. Like
Right.
and then essentially Indiana Jones, the character is retired,
Right.
but like the mythos.
Yeah, the mantle, if you would.
Yeah.
Let's do an Indiana Jones pitch after Superman.
All right.
Yeah, let's do that.
We're always looking for him, so yeah, that works. So also in news, Mortal Kombat 1, which is the new Mortal Kombat reboot.
Yes, good gracious. I haven't seen the newest trailer. Rumble noises.
Well, it's reported that Homelander and Omni-Man are going to be playable characters.
Yes, heard about this. I think this is a complete just reboot of the universe, I think, right?
Yeah, they've done it like
They've done it
three
a
or
few
four times already, yeah.
So I actually have a hardcore Mortal Kombat nerd in my orbit that I can reach out to get caught up on the mythos. But it's actually cool because she cosplays as Melina. She has a really good Melina cosplay.
That's cool.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm down for playing Omni-Man and Homelander.
Yeah, I kind of want to play Omni-Man and just destroy
everybody, right?
You
know those videos are just gonna be all over the TikToks, all over the Twitters.
Well, a lot of people are big Homelander fans. I was surprised that. Have you ever followed that guy? I think it's Comics Explained. Rob is his name.
Yeah, the Rob.
He posted a thing saying that like, he believes. Oh shit!
Holy crap!
He believes that Homelander would destroy Thanos, and I'm like,
what?
Yeah.
No.
It's whatever.
It's like Homelander versus Omni-Man. What? No.
Yeah, I mean they did that on Death Battle.
Oh, it's no contest.
And I mean they came to a conclusion that like any reasonable person would that
Omni-Man is Superman level.
Yeah, he's not quite. I guess it depends on the writer if he's Superman level. I mean, Superman. It depends on how you measure Superman,
right?
Because if you measure Superman based on feats, Superman is stupid,
right?
But he's approaching Superman levels. Homelander is very much not there.
No,
yes, they're both Superman clones. I mean, not clones, but you know what I mean. Like they're heavily inspired by Superman,
right? But completely different takes on the character. Again, that
familiar, they're the evil versions, but anyway, Homelander is much more like he can't.
He's like a
lift planes.
planetary threat.
Yeah. But I mean, like the difference is he can't like lift a plane because there's nothing to push off of
Right.
if he's flying. So he's got a lot more like low level. He breaks the sound barrier, whereas like Omni Man can fly between planets and worlds and solar systems. And all
Right.
that. And I mean, like in that, like in the even the TV show, when he went to that alien world, he like scorched their atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
When he was like, Earth is not available, is not ready for, or not yours to conquer.
Right.
And then he flew through their atmosphere and like scorched it, killing all of them.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
See,
He's cool.
I have shit like that in my project with quantum drift, just really clever ways of just destroying a planet.
That's cool.
Like scorch atmosphere, just burn off the ionosphere or something like that. Just
He comes back, remember, and then he's like, he's got the beard, and that's because time passes different. So he was actually there fighting their planet for like a month.
right.
There's also like spoilers, but Invincible gets a lot crazier. Robot Man goes and rules that world for a while, like thousands of years.
Wow.
Yeah, no, the comics starts as like Spider-Man sort of, with like Superman style power sets,
Right.
but then it moves to Star Wars, and the whole story spans 500 years from his perspective only.
Right.
Other characters like even longer because of time dilation and all that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a throwback to, remember in the animated thing where like he goes like, "What will you be in 500 years? What will you have?" And it's like, "Oh, if you dad," and he's all like coughing,
All mangled.
But you see where he was in 500 years, and yeah, and like dude wins at life.
That's awesome.
That's
That's good writing.
Yeah, I agree. When you do the throwback,
the close the loop.
On.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's see. Apparently this is interesting. So apparently, locked away deep in a Disney vault since their acquisition of 20th Century Fox, Disney reportedly has 10 episodes finished of an Alien vs. Predator animated series that they've never released.
Ooh.
I want to see it.
We'll talk about it when we talk about Unicorn Warriors Eternals, but Gendy Tartakovsky, I could see doing a perfect Alien vs. Predator animated series. He'd be perfect.
Well, like I said, they've got 10 episodes of this thing. It's done in an anime style, and it's completely finished. They could just put it out there, but they haven't. It's locked.
I want.
Yeah, me too. I love Alien vs. Predator. It's one of my favorite things.
Right.
Like, I like the comics more than what we've seen in terms of movies.
Yeah, the movies haven't been great, but
they're not terrible. Like, I could watch one and have a good time, but like, are they good? No.
I remember my biggest problem with the second one was that it was shot so dark that I had to turn the contrast up. It was just awful.
You had to like mess with your TV just to get the resolution,
right?
To see what was going on.
Right.
I agree. Yeah. I watched it when I was living with you because I think you had a DVD of it.
Yeah.
And I popped it into my Xbox, and back then I couldn't see shit, and I was just like, "Well, this is fun."
Right.
My old TV was kind of darker as well.
But... Noises in the dark.
Yeah.
That's the movie.
I have a feeling, and if I remember right, I think it worked better in the theater. Like you could see what was going on more.
Yeah.
But the DVD, obviously, like they didn't fix something or something. I don't know.
Right.
One of you guys that knows more about this shit can probably like explain it.
Probably.
If you can, message us and let us know. I'd be interested to know. I always like hearing from people that understand this kind of stuff. So also in news, I don't really care about this at all, so I don't care one way or the other. Some people are like, yes, thank God. And I'm like, okay, that's stupid. But the live action Powerpuff Girls series is no longer being redeveloped at the CW.
I heard mention of this. So I heard like the premise of the show, or I guess some like a partial script leak hit the internet, and I don't care. I really like.
Well, that's what I mean. I don't care. So here's my thoughts on Powerpuff Girls. when I saw the original cartoon,
Mm,
it wasn't even on a Powerpuff Girls show. It was on their like cartoon thing.
right.
You know what I
It
mean?
was a short.
The shorts. I thought they were so cool.
They were
Like,
badass. Oh, I love the
yeah, they were
Powerpuff Girls.
awesome.
Who's your
And
favorite? Who's your
then
favorite?
that first episode
Who's your
where they
favorite
like
Powerpuff Girl, Frosty?
the first episode I think it was the Fluffy Lumpkins was the villain, and you know he turns what's her name's hair, and they all the characters were more extreme back then, and
Right.
yeah, and like they're like, oh, you turn she turned what's her name Buttercup, the badass one,
Yeah.
her hair into like a piece of fried chicken,
Mm.
and then because that was his gun, and like and then she was like, I'm gonna fuck you up, you know, and then like what's his name? Him is one of the
I
funniest.
love
villains
him.
I've ever
Him
seen.
is what they call nowadays a woke character, but I fucking love him.
Oh, he's great. And then Mojo Jojo. Like, I mean, the
Mojo.
characters are great. The show is great.
It's just
It
insane.
went on too long, and then I think other people started doing stuff with it,
Right.
and it became an inferior shadow of what it once was.
Right.
And I have a feeling this is just more of that. But I think the appeal of it shifted to a different, younger audience,
Right.
and that's part of what it is. So but yeah, so I don't really care one way or the other. I mean, you know, again, I wish all those people well. It sucks if you were working on it and it's not going to happen, but it wasn't something I was going to watch at all.
Right. I had no interest.
But I would, if you haven't seen the original Powerpuff Girls cartoon,
See it now.
yeah, especially the ones when it was cartoon.
Right.
Those ones are excellent.
Right. My favorite's Buttercup.
My favorite's also Buttercup.
Yes.
I like the one where she like they wanted to be like other characters, and so they like she was like Spawn,
Mm.
and because that's like her favorite superhero.
Right.
Did you see also in that? Did you see the oh god, it was the one where it was like the Justice League sort of, but not really because they were Marvel characters, but they were
Right.
living as like roommates, and that was the show. You had Val Holland, which was like Thor, but
Right.
like yeah, he's like, but he was like a metalhead. And he's like, oh, I need my axe, and his axe was his guitar.
That's awesome.
And then
I don't remember this one.
he was the god of rock, was what it was. Then you had Major Victory. It was kind of like half Superman, half Captain America.
Right.
Captain America, but with Superman powers, basically.
Right.
And then the what is it? The something Kronk. I think it was like the incorrigible Kronk or something. And he was purple, and he was like, and he was basically Hulk. But instead of it like them fighting bad guys, it was just them living as roommates.
That's
And
awesome.
like, yeah, they're like they go into like Valhalla's room, and it's like clearly goes into the realm of the gods.
Mm.
And then like so it's this massive like room, and they were like, and Kronk's like, oh, his room much bigger than Kronk's, and then he's like, well, that's why he pays extra rent. It was a lot of that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. No, I haven't seen that one.
They even did a crossover between them and Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty good. The Powerpuff Girls like were just like far outstripping all of them in power.
Of
Like
course.
no matter how like Kronk like lifted something huge, and like Buttercup lifts him and the thing.
I fucking love Buttercup.
Good show though.
Great
Again,
show.
if you haven't seen that, I might make that a Behold Nerd sometime because there are a few episodes.
Yeah.
Also in comic news, I know we usually focus on movie and TVs, but in comic news, I just thought I'd have to bring this up. Ms. Marvel is dead.
What?
The internet has lost its mind over this. Well, there's three people. There's the people who are like, oh, good. The only real Ms. Marvel is this one. And they post the old school Ms. Marvel in the black suit. Then there's the people that are like, no, Ms. Marvel. And then there's the people that actually read comics and we're like,
See you next
we'll
week.
be back.
Right. She's going to go up there, slap Uncle Ben a high five, and then just go right back down.
it's part of the problem in comics. Death doesn't matter. I mean,
Right.
like she's gonna be back. It's something to do with Spider-Man. I haven't actually read it, but she's dead. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I don't. See you next week.
That's
Uncle Ben and actually not even Gwen Stacy anymore. So it's just gonna be
what I mean.
Uncle Ben's
It's
just gonna be
smart.
there like this. Just give him the firm high five and spiral back down. And
Anytime something crazy happens in comics, there is zero point in losing your mind over it because it basically is meaningless. I'm sorry. I love comic stories. You have to treat each writer and each run and each story as its own story and
right,
forget about canon, all of that shit. I know nerds go nuts over this,
right,
but it's really the truth. I mean, people were like, "Oh my god, Captain America's Hydra." Oh yeah, for that one story, and it was because Red Skull controlled him from the
from the
past
past,
using an
right,
Infinity Stone or something like that.
right.
And it's like,
But
calm
that
down, man.
right, but that was
It's
that
one
was the bigger
story.
plot, right? That was the bigger plot to that one story.
Yeah, and you can say you like that story, you hate that story, whatever, but it's not going to really change Captain America. Sometimes, yes, stories change characters,
Hmm.
but it's pretty rare. I mean, like I always think of Kingdom Come with Wonder Woman,
Hmm.
but generally, but even then, writers go back and write old school versions of characters. So
Hmm.
calm down.
Right.
That sounds a little harsh,
No,
but
it needed to be said.
um, Grant Gustin is now given up his. He's no longer playing the Flash. Flash is coming to an end. The CW series. I thought he was a pretty good
I
Flash.
thought he was
I
great.
thought the show was pretty good for the first couple of seasons. I kind of
I lost
It started to
interest.
feel repetitive, so I stopped watching it. But I never really faulted the show.
Right,
I thought it was a good show. It wasn't good enough,
right,
I guess, to keep my attention. And they weren't doing. I thought if it was a CW show, they're fine, but there's better comic shows out there.
right. I stopped watching after halfway through the third season. I think it
Yeah,
just
that's probably it for me too.
it just it's time to move on because it
Yeah,
was just the same thing over and over and over again. There's another speedster.
yeah,
What?
I'm the fastest man alive. No, you're not. You're never the fastest man alive. It's always someone else every season.
Right,
I mean, they did switch it up one season, and I was like, finally,
right,
the main villain wasn't a speedster. And I was like, yeah, you guys got to stop using speedsters, man.
right. I liked when they brought in
Uh,
Gorilla Grog. That was great. I like Grog.
yeah, theirs is cool. Like, I honestly thought their King Shark was one of my favorite King Sharks.
I don't remember King
Um,
Shark in
it was clearly CGI, but I
of
forgive
course.
them because of their budget.
Right.
But he looked cool. He was this giant, like freaking terrifying shark monster. Like
Mm.
grabs him and picks him up. The problem I have with that show though is like I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, run fast. They show up and then they talk about how they're going to beat the bad guy for a while.
Right.
And I'm like, just
Just
punch him
run.
while going like 100 miles per hour. It's over.
Right.
You know,
Doesn't he have the infinite mass punch?
he does in the comics. I don't know if he does in the show.
Just
They did make like in season one, you kind of forgive it because he was learning
learning
about
his powers. Right.
and like they explained how to do a hard punch, and he like practiced it in one. But yeah, after that, you're just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Just run
I do
fast.
think that they have one of the more interesting multiverses, though. Like when they do all the crossovers and
Yeah, with
everything.
like the
I would
Arrowverse.
go watch the crossover episodes even after I stopped watching the show,
Mm. See,
just because I find it interesting.
yeah, I know the youngling watched those shows. I couldn't get into Arrow. I tried. I couldn't get into Arrow.
Arrow was really good for its time.
It
I
didn't.
thought.
It didn't latch on to me. I tried. It was all right. It just didn't do
I
anything
thought
for me.
for its time it was really good, but other shows came along and surpassed it. I mean, you compare Arrow to say Daredevil on Netflix.
Yeah, can't compare.
Yeah, Daredevil was 1,000 times better. The problem with the Netflix shows and why Daredevil was so much superior to the others, like for example, Iron Fist.
Mm.
That guy never showed up for any of the fight choreography training. He just showed up on the day.
Oh,
They were
really?
like, we couldn't find him. That's why the girl character was so much better than him,
Mm-hmm.
and wwhy they started leaning over to her because she was there every day. But you know who put in the most work out of all of them? Charlie Cox.
Really?
And yeah, he was there working like stunt performers that doubled him. They
Mm-hmm.
were like, no, he's a beast. And
Nice.
he was practicing every single day. You know, every season they had that one fight scene that was just like, oh
That
my
hallway fight
god.
scene. Jesus
Yeah, in
Christ.
season 1 and season 2 it was something else, but like also him going up against the ninja guy, like the whole thing. It
Right.
was gorgeous. It was dark. It was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other ones, some of the stuff was good, but it would go on too long. You know, like it
God,
was just
not Iron Fist, Luke Cage. It felt like 2 seasons smashed into one season. Like it should have ended and then it just sort of continued
yeah,
on for a
yeah.
few more
And also
episodes.
like when he that first season, he was like really huge and jacked,
Right.
and then like you could tell he just like stopped caring as the show went on. And then like one of
That
the ones I
Disney
actually
money.
thought,
You can
yeah,
afford
one
the
of the things I
finer
thought was
cuts.
Jessica Jones. I thought was good, but I mean, she had the same thing as the guy from Game of Thrones. She didn't give a shit,
Right.
and she was like, "I don't want to do the fighting." And they're like, "Yeah, but Jessica Jones is a brawler," and she's like, "What if she isn't?" And that's why we didn't really get many fight scenes
No, that
because
sucks.
the actor was being a pain in the ass. And I like her
Ugh,
as an actor, but like,
that's shitty. Like,
it
commit
is
to the
kind of
role.
shitty. I
Commit
mean,
to the
come on,
role.
man. Like, you
Fucking
got a
commit.
chance to play Jessica Jones. You know how many people would kill for that?
Right.
Maybe fucking put the work in. You know.
It's like when Carl
And
Urban
also,
was
you're getting paid a shit ton. You know.
right, but like with Carl Urban when he was Dredd, he not once took his helmet off.
Yeah.
He acted through a mouth slit.
That's
Like
my yeah. People put
commit.
in the work. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what you have to do.
Fucking
You know,
Tom
you
Hardy
expect.
with Bane, dude. I mean, say what you want. Having to talk like this. I mean, he worked with what he got. Good grief.
Yeah.
Just commit, yo.
But yeah. Anyway, I'm interested to know. I think Grant Gustin is gonna always be the Flash, though.
Right.
He's everybody knows him as that.
Mm.
Anytime he's gonna be, if he gets, you see him in something else, people are gonna go, "Oh, it's the Flash," you know.
Right.
Like, I almost think, why not? Fuck it, put him in the DC universe. Have James Gunn hire him.
Right.
You know,
I mean,
make him the
good.
new Flash. I mean, I understand people are forgiving Ezra Miller, but like, I think that's a problematic route, and people genuinely like Grant Gustin.
Just have him be the one that
So
comes out on the end.
yeah, I think put him in. That's my opinion anyway.
Actually, that'd be a
Um,
easy fix. Take him to the
yeah,
big screen.
exactly. Universe is reset. It's a different Flash. Hey,
Right.
make him Wally West. Fuck it.
Right.
Whatever you got to do. Wally West is my favorite Flash anyway.
Right.
Um. Anyway. Oh, and then the last bit of news. I figured you'd bring it up. The Disney closation.
Galactic, yes, the Galactic Star Cruiser. I was waiting to see if you would bring it up or not, because I definitely was. This makes me, and it sucks for the cast members because apparently they were unaware of this until last Thursday when they got the slip saying that they're suspending.
Companies always do that.
Yeah, it's just here's what bothers me with the whole thing, and I've talked about this on the show, but it's worth repeating. Disney took what we pioneered at Knott's Berry Farm with Ghost Town Alive, and they try to apply that style of interaction with guests into Star Wars, which is a
Well,
fantastic idea.
that and also Universal.
Universal.
Universal does the whole Halloween
Well,
things.
right. So I mean, that's this isn't necessarily the haunt aspect. This is the Ghost Town Alive, where you have the character actors inhabiting a world who are there to interact with guests.
No, yeah,
This
I'm pretty sure Universal does something similar though.
okay, but
I'm
either
just
way,
throwing it out there because,
eh,
like, what's her? Someone who watches the show, Megan. I think she works. It's kind of interesting because I've heard both sides. You at Knott's and her at Universal,
mm,
and I'm like, you guys both of those companies are pulling off of each other. Like,
Oh, of
I don't know
course.
who's first, but it's like,
Of
but that
course.
totally makes sense. You can imagine some dude scouting both of them,
Right. So
going, "Oh,
what
that's a
Disney
good idea."
did, they would have Imagineers come incognito and play in the park, and
Yeah,
Universal did
doing
the
the
same
same
thing.
thing. Yeah.
Universal did the same thing, and they took their notes. So Disney, what they did was when they came up with the idea for Galaxy's Edge, they wanted to have that level of interaction embedded within this land, and that's fucking incredible. Give me more. I heard that. Oof, I got so excited for this to
The
have.
things that I didn't think were cool, like listening to you talk about it anyway,
Mhm.
is you said you had to like do specific things,
Right.
which to me that's dumb. Just if I want to just sit in a bar the entire time and it's the cantina or something,
Right.
that's on me. That's for me to choose, you know? I
Right.
think make it a choose your own adventure thing.
Right.
And then the big one was the price. It was too expensive. It was just ridiculously
It
expensive.
was monstrously expensive, and that's what bothers me is that doing Ghost Town Alive, the way we interacted with guests, we activated them. That's what it's called. We activate them and we bring them down into our universe, and that I got really good at it. So to
Mhm.
have that with Disney Power, that's amazing. But what they did was they decided to throw up a paywall around that. So when Galaxy's Edge opened, there was one blue-haired rebel character that kind of wandered around, but there was no. It felt hollow. It was the land without the life,
Mhm.
and though it's gorgeous to look at, it feels there's an emptiness to it, and that's what bothers me about the land itself is that it feels empty. But what they
I
did
like
was
some of the you see them on Twitter all the time. People post interactions with the cast, and it
oh
does look
yeah.
fun. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, so when they had the occasional cast member come out to do the photo ops, that's fantastic. I saw the
yeah, just like
Mandalorian.
I saw, like stormtroopers walking along, and they
Right,
make comments and
right.
stuff like that.
So,
And
so yes, absolutely. So you have that, but you have it be a constant thing.
yeah,
They had people inhabiting certain places that can only be found in certain places, and we had a show beat that ran throughout the entire day. And though it was a choose your own adventure, we still had to put some railings on it, but it
I
sort of
understand. Yeah, you bind it with rules, but it's. I mean, the way you described Disney was like, at this time I have to go do this, and at this
yes,
time I have to go
yes,
do this,
yes,
and at this time I have to go do this.
right.
Now we can
So
stop for lunch. Now we go to the park,
right.
and that to me took away the appeal.
So
I want to wander around in
and
the Star Wars
and
universe.
feel like it's being inhabited. Yes, and that's what we
Yeah.
did with Ghost Town Alive. So with what we did with Ghost Town Alive is we knew that at 12 o'clock there was going to be a robbery. We knew that at the end of the day, 5 o'clock was going to be the hoedown. So we had different beats, but because we knew the beats, we had ways of, at least I did, I had ways of kind of guiding the guests into giving me the answers that I wanted, but sort of tricking them into thinking that they're coming up with it. If
Yeah.
that makes any sense. So we had to stage a robbery. So I took a park map and I knew the route that we would take for each story beat. So we started at the assayer's office. We started, and then we went to another place, another place. So I showed them with a map. All right, so if you were to draw out the the path we need to take to hit these marks, I mean, it was a straight line, so it was really easy for them to draw it out. But they don't see it as, oh, I'm just drawing a straight line. They see it as, oh, we're actually contributing to this thing. And then once we finally executed the plan, it's sort of unfolding, even though all they did was just sort of draw the obvious, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. But
You know what I think would have worked better just because of like budget and everything.
right,
Make it just a hotel.
right,
Have all of the people that work in the hotel in character,
right,
and then put a cool ass cantina in there just out of like just theme the hotel super strong Star Wars. So there's like
right.
a cantina, like even like you do like the pool, like it looks like the swamp of from Return of the Jedi. What's that one called?
What, Dagobah?
Dagobah. Yeah, so it looks like the swamps of Dagobah.
Right,
You know what I mean? And like you could put like a crashed TIE fighter in there,
right,
and yeah, just that way you can kind of it's more like just a regular hotel,
right,
but it's just heavy Star Wars.
right.
And then yeah, just have free shuttles to the park every day.
So here's what we did is, even though we had story beats, unless somebody was with us, we approached somebody and we asked for their help, and they just, if they chose not to, we wouldn't force them into anything.
Yeah.
And though I would eventually, and if he ever watches this, this is my buddy Jimmy. Jimmy, when I work Ghost Town Alive, he's one of my buddies on Facebook. He was a pass holder who came all the time to Ghost Town Alive, and he was always in the background, but I would always see him. And I wouldn't really engage with him, per se, but I sort of let him watch, and eventually he sort of worked his way in, and I forget what the interaction was, where he finally stepped in and became a member of my shenanigans, but him and I, good grief, the stupid crap I had this poor guy do, but it was fun. Like, nothing's ever malicious. It's theme park, shenanigans, if you will. But good grief, the crap that we came up with, it's the funniest freaking thing we did with Jimmy. But what Disney did was they took that element and they threw it into the Galactic Star Cruiser and threw up a $4,500 minimum price tag.
The price point was astronomical.
For
2 days in the hotel, no, thank you.
And they didn't even have a pool, and apparently the food was subpar. And
that's what I mean. If you're gonna, especially if you're gonna like charge that amount, it's like it's the Fire Festival of hotels.
Right. And it's
maybe not that extreme, but yeah,
it touches the net. It doesn't dunk the ball, but it tickles the net. So it upsets me because
Disney, the best thing that came out of Fire Festival was that documentary.
It really is. The two of them. There's the two documentaries. They were both good.
That one guy, when they were like, "Oh, what are you willing to do to get water?" and they're like, "Are you willing to suck dick?" and he was like, "Man, am I willing to do this?" And but what's funny about him is like people saw that afterwards, companies, and they were like, "I'm hiring this guy if he was willing to do that." This is like the best.
This is the most loyal employee.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So, if I were to be given the keys to the kingdom tomorrow to fix Galactic Star Cruiser, I would plop it. So originally, it was supposed to be set during the original trilogy, which I think, if you're to do a Star Wars anything, because there's such a diversity, strong opinions on both sides, from the prequels to the sequels, plop it during the original trilogy. Everybody loves the original trilogy. It's that way. It's sort of like a focal point. All right. Install a pool. Okay. Can you imagine how fucking cool a Star Wars pool would look like?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do it like the Dagobah Swamp.
Right.
Like, that would be awesome.
That would blow my fucking mind. Yeah. But instead, you have.
I also I keep saying it, but I really want like a cantina.
Right.
So I want to walk in.
Right. So in Galaxy's
maybe
Edge,
do an event like where like you come in into Jabba's palace and it,
right.
Oh my god, this is so wrong, and I feel so bad for laughing at it. Have you seen that video that's going around YouTube? There's like a bunch of girls being interviewed by like on some podcast or something. And the first girl, she's like, "Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm 22 and I'm from blah 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 blah." And it's something's happening,
right?
Because the girl next to her is 400 pounds, maybe. And I'm not making this up.
She's big.
Yeah, and but she's the first guy. "Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm 29. And then the other girl comes to talk, and then someone dubbed in, "Y'all to be Jedi." And that's what I mean. I knew it was coming, but I didn't know that was gonna happen. So I was like, "Oh god, I'm going to hell."
I'm glad it met your expectations.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do this, commit to it. Make it good.
But again, it kind of came out of it's one of those things that reminds me of the Simpsons episode where I forget what happened, but I think Homer was pushing stuff. He got hired to get rid of waste, and he kept shoving it into a cave. and then finally the cave like overflowed, and it like everything was coming up from the
Oh,
ground.
the waste management one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The Flanders is sitting there praying with his kids over their lost bunny, and you knew what was going to happen, and but you didn't. You just it was better than you expected. All of a sudden, the bunny comes like,
Ah!
like dead,
And they're like,
and starts
ah!
screaming, and like it's so good. Like I don't know what it is about that style of comedy where you know it's coming, but then it
But then it happens and it surpasses right.
yeah.
God, that's what made The Simpsons perfect back then. So,
Yeah, that was good.
yeah, what were we talking about? Something.
I don't know.
We went off on a tangent.
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Galactic.
Yeah, so let me give you an example. So, one of the spots to go to at Galaxy's Edge or Batu is Olga's Cantina. Well, what's in Olga's Cantina? Expensive drinks. Now, here's the thing. You have a 45-minute time limit. None of the drinks are made individually. Everything is pre-batched. So right there, the magic is gone.
Yeah, exactly. You want some alien bartender mixing up your drinks.
Right.
And I want to be able to, if I choose to stay at this hotel, I want to be able to wander down there at 9 a.m., order, and it doesn't even have to be Star Wars, go to other universes too. I mean, I want to order a Pan Galactic Gargle Banger.
Right.
And then just sit there and drink it, which, by the way, what is it? That's the drink that it feels like if you were to take a gold bar, wrap it in like $100 bill, and then smash your skull over it with it, and then with a little hint of lemon.
That's awesome.
Gotta love Hitchhiker's Guide. But that's my point. Like, let people do what they want to do. If I want to just sit by the in the swamps of Dagobah drinking my thing, dressed up as Han Solo, that should be my prerogative.
Right.
You know?
I mean, you're spending $4,500 fucking dollars to do it. So
Yeah.
from the moments that I watched online, there's a moment where people were just sitting eating dinner.
Cruise ships nail this shit. Why can't they from a
Right.
stationary?
But Disney has cruise ships.
I know.
This isn't a new thing.
I know, because you could totally do like
do the experience without the water.
I want to go learn. I want to go take Jedi freaking.
So that's another thing. Did you see what it actually looks like with the lightsaber? It was miserable. You look at the
teach actual lightsaber combat. There's
like
actual,
7 different techniques or like 5 different techniques of.
Yeah, I know, but there's actual like people that go and practice this shit and take in tournaments and stuff.
Right.
Grab a couple of those people, like the champions.
Right.
And then make battle ready lightsabers, and then you show up and you're like, oh, here's an hour class where you can learn this shit.
Right. How?
Yeah, again, treat it like a cruise ship. I
Right.
think that's the best point. Yeah.
But yes, and make the food good. So they didn't have cruise ships had like free sodas and
yeah.
So no free sodas.
Yeah, also I wouldn't make the food weird. Like you can order weird drinks, call the food weird things, but make it just normal, delicious things.
Right.
You know, be like, oh, this is our fucking crazy alien thing, but really it's like lobster and like shrimp and clams and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Like a seafood medley. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
anyway. So we both have strong opinions on how much they fucked that up.
Right. Well, they didn't even have a pool. How do you have a cruise ship? But see that's the thing is that they condensed everything to where they didn't allow for much of exploring time, I guess, because it was such a tiny area and there wasn't a whole lot of places to explore.
Well, I think it's summed up with good idea, poor execution,
right,
and way too expensive.
Right.
But well, so that's really all I have for nerdy news. Do you have anything?
No, I just wanted to talk that.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know if there's anything you'd like us to discuss, what you thought of nerdy news, and if we got anything wrong, because I always like to know.
We are infallible.
We are definitely not. I'm very fallible. Anyway, so what do you want to move on to? Reviews?
You pick.
Behold Nerds, Battle Nerds?
Let's pick. You pick. We should roll a D4 for this for our segment. See
what I think we should move on. I kind of want to discuss The Mask. I watched it last night.
Yeah, fine. So,
All
Behold
right, so
Nerds.
Behold Nerds, this is our book club, essentially, but with anything. We discuss movies, TV shows, whatever. We take turns picking something to suggest to each other. Cap, you mentioned Mask was kind of a childhood film of yours, and so you wanted to revisit it. So I hilariously thought you were talking about the Cher film with the guy with the dysmorphia, but then
Oh God.
wouldn't have been funny if I didn't ask you to
And you just
clarify.
watched that?
And I'm like, yeah. So this was a very moving film, and you're like smoking, and
Smoking.
oh wait.
We need a
But no, so
proctologist standing by.
we're talking the Jim Carrey Mask,
Yes.
loosely based on a comic, but it's so different from the comic. It's not even like. I mean, I do want to talk about the comic, but
Right.
this is basically not the comic, only very loosely.
Right.
Um, yeah, The Mask. What did you think
Yeah,
upon
so
revisiting
this
it?
is one of my favorite movies ever, let alone my favorite Jim Carrey movie ever. Probably my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Yeah,
Um,
Jim Carrey had a fantastic year that
he
year because
did. He was in
he had
everything.
Ace Ventura, The Mask, and then Dumb and Dumber.
Right.
So this is pretty much his year.
Right.
This movie also gave us Cameron Diaz.
Hmm.
This was her like breakout role.
Yes. I've seen this movie 1,000 times, and I will watch it 1,000 times more. So what I like about this movie is the character Stanley himself. Not so much the mask. Like the mask is fun, but like
I don't like Stanley as a character. I
oh,
find him annoying.
he's weirdly relatable to me. Just that awkward.
Okay.
Just I get it. I'm annoying. So I just love this movie.
I don't know, man. Like when he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna sit and watch this tape of Looney." He's supposed to be this
I do that.
endurable, like loser kind of, but the time I spent with him, I was the dog is a great character.
Milo is great.
But yeah, Milo. But him himself, I was a little bit like, eh. And then the plot device of you put on the mask and it brings out who you really are.
Mm.
Well, he's just a horny guy then, because like that was his whole drive.
Right.
And I mean, anytime he met a girl, it was just like he hits on girls at work. Like, I mean, that's not cool. I mean,
I never thought of it like that.
like he's working at a bank, and he's like, "Oh, I'm so lonely. All I care about is girls." And like a hot girl comes in, he's like, "Hey, hot girl." And
He
like,
didn't do
you're
that.
at work, man.
His coworker did that. He did not do that. He was intimidated.
He 100% did it to both characters. His buddy was just that times 10.
Right. No, I don't think he threw himself at anybody. He didn't throw himself at Cameron Diaz when they first met. He was.
I would say watch it again, but you just watched it. But
No,
yes,
I watched it. I wouldn't say he threw himself at her. He was just intimidated by how hot she was. You can relate to that.
that was another thing. This movie was very much like anytime Cameron Diaz was on screen, they were like wow, check out how hot she is.
Right.
Like,
well, that's sort of the point of her character, though. Which,
sort of. Okay, look, I'll admit this. I'm a bit of an anti-masker.
why?
Maybe I should rephrase that.
Pause for effect. Good night, everybody. All right, that was funny.
But yeah, I wrote that joke this morning. I was like, oh, I gotta include it. I have it in my notes. But no, I mean, look, okay, I thought the movie. Okay, I don't like Stanley Ipkiss as a character. I thought him when the mask moments were good. I like the fact that I like the musical numbers.
Yes,
I had fun in the film overall. I have several favorite moments which I'll bring up. Here's why. I really like the comic, and because it's so different from the comic, I think that's my issue.
So, what are the? I mean, the comic's obviously a lot more violent, but
okay. So the comic originally, when they started making this movie, they were making something more. They wanted to make like a Freddy Krueger, which is closer to what the comic is.
Okay.
he's an evil bad guy, and it's taking a villain character, making him the main character, but it's more about the mask. Like Loki is more of a murderous asshole in the comics,
Okay.
and there's blood. Like, okay, you know the scene where he breaks out, like the Cuban,
The Cuban
yeah,
beat. I love Cuban beats.
yeah. In the comics, that scene is he makes flamethrowers and murders everybody, and they're all being burned alive.
Oh.
So it's more like Freddy Krueger. He's a charismatic villain
Mm-hmm.
that kills the shit out of everything.
Mm.
It ends with, at least the first one ends with his girlfriend murdering him and putting on the mask.
Right.
And so it's much more that. Like Stanley Ipkiss is definitely not a likable character.
Mm.
But it's cool like comic. It's like this dark, visceral, like horror comic, but with like cartoon antics. The main thing is like he does cartoony stuff, but it actually kills people.
Right.
So, and my question is, and I don't think it would work. Could they make a movie based on the comic?
I mean, look at now with the boys. You have Invincible.
I guess I just feel like people are like what's happened, and it's because people don't like stuff that's different from what they know.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie has surpassed the comic in popularity. This is a beloved movie, so if we all of a sudden got that, they would be like, "What the hell? Why isn't he funny? Why isn't he doing singing, dancing numbers? Why is this a horror?" You know what I mean?
Right.
Like people would be like, "This is weird,"
Right.
and this isn't The Mask, but really it is. But yeah, I don't know. So,
we did get the sequel that was awful.
The sequel was awful. Yes.
Yes.
But the actual there, I do have favorite parts, and I do like this movie. I like the musical numbers. I love the part when basically anytime he's the mask, I thought it was great.
Right. I like the stop and frisk.
And I like the
wife.
Jim
What?
Carrey, yeah. And I like Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. You know what I mean? And
right.
it's extreme. Like nobody would play that role.
Really love me.
Yeah, my favorite part of that is the guy realizes he's on camera and
he starts straightening himself up.
Back his hair. And the henchmen are great.
Great henchmen in this.
Classic henchmen.
Right.
There's a lot to like in this movie, and I can see why it's beloved. I think I come with baggage.
That's fair. I fucking love this movie. Weird quantum inspirations in there, but I love this movie. It's cartoonish fun. I actually do want to see if there's trades available for the comic run.
I mean, if you like the movie, then the comic's so different you won't. You know what I mean? You may like the comic, but you have to treat it as its own.
Well, right. I'm willing to see what the origins were, and I can see if I can appreciate.
So when they were making the movie, that was what they originally intended,
right?
And then their creative process led them to what we got.
Right.
That was my point. Originally, it wasn't going to be Jim Carrey. They had like a lot of actors. They were thinking like, what's his name? Robin Williams. Right. Yeah, like there's a whole list I read about. Like,
he would have made an interesting one.
Yeah, it would have been more like Genie from Aladdin, but
a little bit.
Jim Carrey is a good physical comedian.
Like, the way he flails himself and just, yeah. He was great in the new Sonic movies as Robotnik. I enjoyed him as Robotnik. But.
Yeah, Jim Carrey had that was his year, and then after that, and then he started in Living Color, and then he had that boost.
Boost.
Yeah, and then after that, he kind of started to phase out. But I still like Jim Carrey. I loved Me, Myself, and Irene. I think that movie's hilarious. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, the running joke with the cow is just the best thing. That cow, the cow barely survived.
Right. God, I haven't seen that movie in forever. I like the Truman Show. I like Jim Carrey when he's a little bit more on the
Truman Show is definitely a different style thing, but Jim Carrey's great. I love him in anything he's in. I just didn't like I didn't like Stan Ipkiss in this movie. But like I said, the scenes where he puts on the mask, I loved the dance numbers. This movie has 2 dance numbers in it.
Right. Cuban Pete is my favorite. They call me Cuban Pete. I'm the
but even when he's at the thing and he throws her up, and
Right. Looks at his watch. Oh.
The standout though is the
The
dog.
dog. Milo, yes.
That dog, the dog, that's the finest dog acting I've ever seen.
Right.
The dog does double takes and stuff like that. And
Put the cheese down. Get the keys in the dog.
yeah, and like, I mean, you know, there's the bit where the dog's
Trying to run up the stairs.
because there's the not the well, the wall.
Or the wall.
He's in one of those jails where you have bars going outside that's totally realistic, where nobody could pass anything to you that way.
Yes.
But I didn't care. I mean, it was great. I mean,
just seeing the dog just trying to jump up the wall. Just
yeah, the ending, apparently his best friend was put on the mask, and then he was supposed to be the mask, but they did test screenings for it, and the audiences, they hated that character, and so they hated the idea that he was the next mask. And then they did it where the dog gets the mask, and everybody loved it. So yeah, I think the dog is universally everybody's favorite character in this movie.
My favorite scene is when he pees on the henchman. Oh, that's
great. Favorite scene. There's so many good ones. I would have to say it's the Oscar moment.
You love me. You really love me.
Yeah, when he started fixing his hair, I just having him in the background.
Right.
And I guess any of the scenes with the henchmen, because I thought the henchmen were great.
Right. Tell Scotty I give a damn.
Yeah. Yeah, the death scene.
Tell Tiny Tim I won't be home this Christmas. Scared. Pardon me. I can rewind that scene 1,000 times.
Carrey's great. Give him the chance to just do his
beat Jim
Carrey,
right?
Yeah, and I'm in. But I mean, rating.
You married her.
I'm gonna give it a just shut up and take my money.
I
think it deserves it.
Though I haven't read the comic, and I'm aware that they're both vastly different as far as just for what it is. It's just one of those movies that just tickles me in a weird way. I love this movie. Shut up and take my money.
I do think you brought up a good idea though. Like what if Prime did a The Boys style thing with this, and made it like the comics? That would be really cool.
I mean, I'm not sure if the comic is like a dark humor type thing, but you can add that charismatic dark humor and just...
It's dark humor, but it's more, like I said, it's more like a horror.
So I would...
The reason I compare him to Freddy Krueger is because I think Freddy Krueger is like a killer that is charismatic,
right?
And I think that's what you kind of have. Also, apparently the sequel,
bitch.
It's a sequel that, like, they were talking about making it his girlfriend that puts on the mask.
Cameron Diaz.
That.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, now that we get called woke and all that, but it is canonically correct. She puts on the mask at the end of the...
I would love to see Cameron Diaz as the mask. I think that'd be great.
I like Cameron Diaz a lot. I think she's a fun... Did you see... I like some of her more recent roles, like Teacher and... I haven't seen Teacher. And the kind of raunchy comedy. There's one where she was in a movie where, like, they make a sex tape on... and then it gets uploaded to the cloud.
Oh.
And then they go around trying to get it back. Because they gave out iPads to everybody, and they didn't realize it was on the cloud. So everybody that got the iPad for Christmas was like, holy shit.
What a premise. But anyways, it is your pick.
Okay, so I haven't seen this movie. I just saw it's available for rent, and I have no idea if it's good or bad. I just I saw the trailer and was like, oh, that's cool. Is 65. It's on Prime right now. Have you seen it yet?
Never even heard of it.
It's like dinosaurs with Adam Driver, but he's got like tech.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like a sci-fi dinosaur planet movie.
Yes.
So it's available to rent on Prime. So yeah, I figured I was going to probably rent it anyway, so might as well make it our Boldner.
Speaking of which, did that Arc animated series ever drop yet, or is it still in development? Because they released trailers for it a while ago, where like The Rock is the voice for it. Look neat, but I just haven't heard anything about it, and I know it's been a couple of years.
Yeah, you're right. So. I haven't heard anything about it either. Sounds cool though, but this movie sounds cool.
Yeah.
I like the trailer, so hopefully it's good. I think it could either be good. Well, it could either be good or bad. Those are the options.
Right.
But no, I mean, it looks like a cool idea, but if you watch the trailer for After Earth, it kind of looks cool, and it kind of reminds me of that same
A
sort of
little
thing.
bit.
So it's like, but After Earth was hot
Garbage.
garbage.
Right.
So
Moist
like,
dumpster juice. Yes.
I'm hoping this isn't that. You know, like
Right. Okay.
I think sci-fi either goes really hard or just, bleh. You know, like,
Right.
and that's the problem with sci-fi. I think I guess with a lot of stuff, sci-fi, fantasy, all that kind of stuff. It's
Well,
either really good.
as I'm writing a sci-fi, I'm going full into the universe. But, anyways, I don't know. Hopefully, it's good. Tune in next week.
All right.
65.
Anyway, do you want to do Battle Nerds?
Yeah, let's do Battle Nerds. Yes.
All right. So Battle Nerds, we have a list of 100 iconic characters. We random roll to see who we get, and we pitch them against each other in our Battle Nerds arena, which changes every week. We allow things like BFRs. We allow you to choose which version, but basically it's a discussion and we have to come up with an argument as to why our character would win. You rolled Spider-Man.
Yes.
And I got the TMNT. We're keeping it loose with them. I could either, because it's Spider-Man, I could pick like the whole team up. What I don't know.
Right.
Which version are you going for?
I'm just going with like an amalgam Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Okay, like comic Spider-Man.
Yeah, just comic
basically.
Spider-Man. Just, he has his capabilities, but without all the fancy, like, oh, well, he wants touch an Infinity Stone. He wants do this.
Yeah, I understand. You're not going like Spider Phoenix or something.
No, just I think classic Spider-Man should be able to.
Winner of last week, by the way, we did Rogue versus Optimus Prime. We went with X-Men 90s X-Men Rogue versus G1
Optimus Prime. Yes.
Cartoon versions.
Mm-hmm.
It was super close on both polls, adding them all together, as well as people messaging me. Rogue took it with just one vote.
Oof.
So she barely beat out Optimus Prime. In my head, he like fires this giant ass gun at her, and she's just like, it's like, the freedom of it's sentient life. Freedom is the choice of all sentient life. Starts walking away,
right?
And she's like, "You think I'm done, sugar?"
Right?
And then she like flies through him,
knocks his head off,
chest, rips the matrix of leadership out. Like, what is this thing? And then just throws it, and then like KO.
I wonder if she could absorb the matrix of leadership. That'd be awesome.
I don't know, but she wins. So Rogue goes on. She's now tied in first with 4 victories against. She's tied with Spock and Wolverine.
Nice.
So far, they've been beasts. They win every single battle. This is the closest Rogue's ever come to losing, actually.
Damn. Yeah, I was surprised with our Facebook vote. How many? She didn't get a single vote on her Facebook.
Yeah, you're saying she won the Twitter one, and then we just got a few extras from people messaging me.
Right.
So Rogue took it, which cool. I mean, I'm liking seeing Rogue's journey here, and she's not someone because when you look at the list, there's like characters like Darkseid and things like that, and like here's scrappy ass Rogue just fighting her way to the top every time.
Bring it on, sugar.
Yeah, I like Rogue.
She's Southern Belle. I love it.
Yeah. Anywho, so God, going up against Spider-Man. There's a few different versions of the Turtles. Obviously, I could make the argument by going with 90s Turtles
that they have
they're
plot
basically
armor.
Invincible.
Don't use my own argument against me, Frosty.
They're cartoon proof. I mean, they could be eating grenades and nothing's gonna happen to them.
Right. Donatello's gonna come up with a contraption with a flashlight and a discarded shoe.
Yeah, I don't know. There's 2 versions that are like arguably the most powerful versions of Turtles.
Right.
One of them was the 2013 animated series Flash Forward, I think it's called.
Yep.
Where they go the future and they get tech armor and stuff like that.
That was a great series. I watched the shit out of it.
I didn't actually see it. That's why I struggled to use
it.
And then there's the Michael Bay Turtles, which are actually pretty tough. They're bulletproof.
Right.
They're huge and stuff like that. I guess I'm gonna have to go with them. But see, Spider-Man is such a beast. It's just like, how do I win?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you can use the individual skills. Like Donatello could come up with a thing to.
it's Spider-Man, dude.
I
Like
know. I mean,
his he can like lift 100 tons, and he's like,
spider
and he can
sense.
see into the future and shit. I mean, he's too powerful. Um, in at this, I mean, yeah, there's other characters that are more powerful, but like,
Right.
I see them all fighting him, and just them all getting the shit kicked out of him that like right away. I mean,
Well,
can you imagine matching like
he
it's
is a
something
mutant Spider Boy, so I
is
guess.
like, well, Shredder does beat them a lot
Right.
throughout the series,
Right.
and Shredder's clearly the superior thing. Shredder versus Spider-Man,
No contest.
Shredder's getting the shit kicked out of him.
Right. I mean, I think let's say he goes up against the Bay
Well, why
Turtles.
can Spider-Man win? What's your argument?
So he's too fucking fast, and he's got the spider sense. I
Yeah,
think
Spider Sense is so fucking
I
hard to
think
get that.
he would. I think it would come down to him and Leonardo because that's just how it be. I think Michelangelo would be the
Well,
first.
I can see Leonardo like going all like, okay, here's the plan.
Right.
You attack this way, you attack this way, you attack this way,
Right.
and it would be a solid plan. But he's
Spider-Man.
Sense,
Right.
yeah, like it's too good.
I can see through some.
It's an interesting because like I mean Spider-Man, Spider Guy, you know, turtle humans, you know,
Right.
it does work.
It does work. So I can see in this head you had this coordinated plan with Leonardo. Just I will allow them. Maybe Raphael will sucker punch him and he'll get in one hit. I give it to Raphael to be the one to deliver the one hit on Spider-Man. But
I don't even think he could. As you can see him grabbing his hand and being like, "Weird, you're a turtle." Oh, that's weird. Throw.
Just pick him up.
Oh,
this is so weird.
And then he would be like,
right,
and
but
like
I mean,
all of a sudden, even like Raphael, who's like the strongest of them all,
right,
is just gonna be like, "Ow, ow, 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 ow."
I can't see it, but again,
Leo's the best fighter, but like, and so I mean, yeah, blades spinning and stuff, but that's nothing new to Spider-Man.
Right. So, I definitely give it to Spider-Man because again, spider sense and just big.
I'm pulling 90s turtles. Good luck beating me.
But fortunately, it isn't up to us. It is up to the viewers. So we will throw up some posts on our social medias, and you will get to decide who you think wins the battle between Spider-Man versus the 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, it's funny. I was on.
Well, yeah, so if it's cartoon, so it's like so Spider-Man goes, or we pull them into his world, whatever.
Right.
So I still say like so they've got the cartoon power.
Right.
And like Spider-Man is not still gonna be able to outclass them because they did lose against Shredder. Right. It's just he's not gonna be able to put them down. Like, and, God, I'm trying to come up with a good argument. He is weak against bug spray. Yes. Okay. Donatello. They get beat initially.
Right.
And I'll even go with like we'll just go with an amalgam to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Right.
They hold their own, but then Leo comes up with this like, hey, like, you attack strategy. This way.
Right.
It doesn't work. They do manage because they're ninjas and whatever. I'm allowed to
get some plot armor. They can get one escape.
They vanish.
Right.
And they're like, "What do we do?" And you know, Splinter's like, "Oh, you must study the." Blah, 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 blah. And then Donatello's like, "Well, what if I science this?" And they come up with a contraption that
it just looks like one of those old school bug sprayers. You know the ones that you pump by hand. It just looks like.
I was thinking it like catches him by surprise in a room. His spider sense goes off, but they use a gas so he can't escape.
Right.
They knock him out. They win.
Love it. Well, it is not up to us. It is up to y'all. So we will get those polls open on all of our Instas, all of our Twitters, all of our Faces, all of our YouTubes, and vote who you think won the battle between Spider-Man versus the TMNT.
What do you think Tom Holland's Spider-Man versus Bay Turtles? because
Ooh.
he's not quite as
He's not
strong.
quite as refined yet. That
Yeah, and he can't run 200 miles per hour and all that shit. He doesn't know the way of the spider.
right. But see, he's got the
It's
suit though.
closer now. It's closer
It's
now. Like
closer, but he has the spider
his
suit.
spider sense is still just broken.
Right.
He would just be whoop 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 whoop.
It can just be activate kill mode, chink chink chink, and
Oh,
just
I forgot he's got that. Yeah,
right.
they do have a truck that has fucking giant ass nunchucks.
Right? It shoots manhole covers.
You know what? I would watch that. A
I'd watch the
movie
shit out
between
of that.
those two characters. Yeah, that
That'd
sounds
be
cool.
fun. Shall we roll for the next
Yeah,
contestants?
yeah. All right.
Favorite part.
Bring out my die.
38.
All right. And I found out I don't have to do taxes this year. Yay.
Hey.
Okay, you said 38?
Yes, sir.
You got returning fighter Bending Rodriguez.
Yes! He defeated Voltron.
He's got to go up against one of my favorite characters, straight from pulpy fiction novels of the day, comic books. He's had TV shows, movies, you name it. Got a lot of versions to pull from. Conan the Barbarian.
Ooh.
Yeah. Conan, the adventurer. Any idea which version you want to go
with his magic
I guess there's really only one with
yeah.
Bender.
Yeah, his Bender. I'm just chugging a big bottle of just XXX and just lighting a cigar and just burping Conan into a fiery just a hunk of meat. I bet he smells great. He looks like he would smell lovely.
Yeah, but I mean, having fire burned at him is like that's like Tuesday for Conan. That's nothing. That'll be an interesting matchup. I do have a lot of versions to pull from. I don't know which one. If I'm going up against Bender, obviously the Arnold Schwarzenegger version is going to get demolished, so I won't use that one. I'll probably go with like comics Conan, but
go with the cartoon Conan. That way his needle.
The adventurer, yeah. I mean,
without fear.
I don't know, but the one I know best is the comics. So, I don't know. I'll let you. We'll try and come up. So, do you guys have any suggestions? Which version you'd like to see go up against Bender?
Yes.
I'd be interested to know.
Should we jump on to reviews? Doing Warrior Unicorn?
Yeah. We can review. So Unicorns, Warriors Eternal. The how do I say his name?
Gendy Tartakovsky. Gendy Tartakovsky. Yep.
I heard someone call him Gennady.
No.
And I was like,
no. Guh.
I thought it was a guh.
Yep.
But anyway, his new series dropped. Unicorn Warriors Eternal. He's been trying to make this for like 20 years.
Really?
We got the first 2 episodes dropped, and then there's the next 2 have also dropped. Like, so we haven't seen them yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be 8 more episodes after those first 2.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a shorter series. What do you think?
I fucking loved it. It took me a second to figure out what was going on, but then once you figure out, this is what's going on, this is how the universe works, I was fucking on board. Love it. So we follow these 3 warriors who are sort of reincarnated.
Spoilers, by the way.
Yes, spoilers. So we follow 3 individuals who are essentially reincarnated by this time-traveling robot.
So we meet these 3 warriors. And they fight this evil.
Right.
Then Merlin shows up with what's the robot's name?
Oh my goodness.
Copernicus.
Yeah, Copernicus.
Yeah. Copernicus. Yeah, he shows up with this robot, this kind of like rotund, like steampunk aesthetic robot from the future. And he says, look, the problem is evil is going to keep rising throughout time. So we need to preserve your soul so that every time it happens, we can do it. Mm-hmm. And then you get this montage spanning the ages of them being brought back to fight the evil.
Right. And Oh, it's so good.
Go for it.
So it takes place in what would be like 1800s England. Looks
Sort
like
of.
it's
It's
sort
a
of like a
steampunk
steampunk. Yeah, it's a
kind of, yeah.
steampunk like
Like
1800s.
it's not really
But
any real.
right. But I mean, like Victorian era steampunk. Um, the characters are awoken. I have my favorite. Just kind of talking
Well,
about
so
it.
the story seems to be revolving around. There's this. They wake up. So something happened in this time.
Right.
Robots go to wake up Copernicus. They attack him, but he kills the robots.
Right.
Then he wakes up Emma, who, or what's her real name? I forget. But
it's on her wedding day.
it's yeah. So you meet the character Emma. She's about to get married,
Right.
and then they wake her up. But at first, she realizes who she is, but then something happens and she doesn't.
Hmm.
And then we find out they've been woken up too early, and which is the other character is kind of the Buddhist kind of guy.
Right.
He's also kind of wrong. The only one that isn't is the knight kind of character,
Mm-hmm.
and he runs to her like, "My love," and she's like, "I'm not your love."
Right.
And then her uh, fiance, she may have killed him at the end of episode two.
I think she killed him unintentionally. Oof.
Yeah. So apparently these characters are reborn and reborn and reborn. They've woken up too early this time,
Right.
and they're not complete.
Right.
And and she seems to be the main character, and because she remembers who she was, not who she, like Emma, the person that she was in life. She doesn't really know who she is as this eternal warrior.
Right.
So the plot is interesting.
Right.
The animation is
gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
I love his art style. Just that cell shaded. It's simplistic, but it's gorgeous.
It
the
looks
backgrounds
great.
are just amazing. He's very good at world building. I've always loved that about Gendy.
The action is obviously, as with all his action, it's great.
Right.
So far I am really excited for this series. I was excited to begin with because I heard he'd been working on it, and I've enjoyed everything he's done. So far, this one is really entertaining. I'm enjoying the characters. I'm sorry, you said you had a favorite character?
So I like the monk. The monk is probably my favorite right now, where he's just sort of, let's just say, high throughout the entire time, because he's sort of lost in this like ethereal universe in his head that's just connected to the cosmos.
Yeah, and you see like what he sees and stuff like that,
right.
and like and because he got awoken as a child, like his character's a little broken because they're like, oh, a child couldn't handle that.
Right.
Then he meets the other version of his soul, and he's like, I must go. Woo. It's very weird. I can see people being turned off because there's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of weirdness to it. But I have a feeling if you stick with it, it kind of reminds me, not in tone at all, but Young Justice. The first few episodes, I was kind of like, eh.
Right.
But then you stick with it, and you're like, "Oh, this is brilliant."
Right. Yeah,
and I have a feeling that's how this is going to unfold.
Well, you have to set the universe. You have to set the tone. You have to introduce the characters. So
right, it's just if you are if your only knowledge of his work is
Samurai Jack,
Primal, I was thinking because that one just came out.
Right.
Primal is a very simple tale. It's beautiful, but it's simple,
Right.
Whereas this is complex.
Right.
And so I could see people being like, well, this isn't what I liked about Primal. But so far what I've seen is great. And I'm really excited for more. It's a just shut up and take my money.
8,000%. At some point very soon, I'm going to fire up the 2 newest episodes. Actually, might even have 4 new episodes.
There's 2 new. I checked.
All right.
I am excited to watch the next 2. I'm also really excited to watch 65. This is going to be a good week for Bitch Nerds TV.
Yes.
I might watch it after this. I haven't decided which one to watch. Although I gotta go take my pills, so I'll just be like, so yeah, I may need to watch something more simple because my brain stops working.
Anyways, what else do we have? Anything exciting? Anything new? I'm writing about Space Wars.
Well, yeah, let us know what you guys thought of Unicorn Warriors Eternal. Are you excited? Is there anything else you guys want us to review? Let us know. And do you want more reviews on Unicorn Warriors Eternal? I think we'll probably continue reviewing
Oh,
it.
we're going to keep talking about it.
It looks pretty entertaining. All right, well, what else we got going on? Oh,
So,
I had a long conversation about the Watchmen movie. Okay, so a lot of people that follow us on Twitter
mm,
and watch our show are Snyder fans, and I think Snyder fans occupy a good chunk of Twitter's comic book Twitter.
mm-hmm.
But so the Watchmen got brought up for whatever reason a lot this week. I do not like the Watchmen movie. I give it a 2 out of 10. If it was a based on our rating system, I would say Death by
Death by
Snoo
Snoo Snoo.
Snoo. What are your thoughts on the Watchmen movie?
I watched it once a long time ago. Didn't really care for it. Then, not that long ago, I think during COVID lockdown, I decided to just rewatch it because I think at the time I was reading the graphic novel. Once you read the graphic novel, you kind of can't watch the movie because the graphic novel is just so much. There's a lot that Snyder could comes close to capturing, but not entirely. It just feels like an inferior version of the novel.
Yeah. So okay, I listen. If there's a couple of interviews, a lot of people ask Alan Moore what he thinks about Watchmen, and Alan Moore basically says what I've always said: that the movie, the he tells stories using his mediums.
Mm.
So he works in comics, so he uses the medium of comics, and that's the problem. It doesn't translate. So I think, like you said, once you read the comics, it's a poor imitation of what is essentially the best comics.
Right.
They are arguably the 12 best comics, in my opinion. And that's why I say arguably, because people can have their own opinions, but they're definitely up there.
Right.
And I don't think there's any disputing that. But Alan Moore was talking about, he said, I don't want people to watch The Watchmen and assume that this is what it's about.
Mm.
And you had seen The Watchmen, and then I was like, and you were like, and we talked about it once, this is years ago.
Mm.
And I said, you should read the comics. And you were like, no. And I was like, please read the comics. And I'm like, no, I have no interest. That's shitty franchise. I don't like it, blah, blah, blah.
Mm.
And you had only seen the movie. So exactly what Alan Moore said he didn't want to happen happened. And I watched it happen with you. And that's why he tried so hard to get his name, make sure his name's not that. Another one is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Have you seen that movie?
Oh, God, that's an awful movie.
Yeah, but Alan Moore's comic is great. And that's my point. And people think the same thing. They go see that and they're like, "Oh, that's a shitty story."
Right.
But it's not. Like and
all in
now,
the execution.
Flip side of that, a lot of people love Watchmen.
Right.
Now, I do think the majority of these people are the Snyder hardcore fans,
Yes.
and they just love Snyder. Like, there's a Snyder Con now.
That's weird.
But yeah.
Good for them. Drink
I like
Kool-Aid.
Snyder's movies generally, but like,
I wouldn't pay admission to a con just of his stuff. Like,
I mean, look, I have no problem if you love Snyder and you think he's
good for you,
God, and you love all his movies and you want to go to. I am always on board with any fandom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not there with Snyder. I think I liked his movies, generally speaking,
right.
And he's definitely a director I enjoy following.
Right.
But I am not one of these people that thinks he's this infallible God persona of directors.
Right.
I think like Quentin Tarantino is a better director. I think James Gunn is a better director.
Mm-hmm.
In certain aspects. I don't think he could surpass Snyder when it comes to
style, like action.
Yeah, style, action. His movies are great for that shit.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wish he could combine with other. I was thinking if he could have
combined Snyder's style with like James Gunn's just writing and just
and like
freaking
J.J. Abrams world building and
right.
Yeah, there would be a lot of cool things. I mean, well, you say combining Snyder's directing with James Gunn's writing. Snyder's most successful movie is Dawn of the Dead.
Great movie.
Well, who wrote Dawn of the Dead? James Gunn.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, there's truth to that, as you point out. But,
sort of on topic, I had the privilege of seeing Guardians 3, which is the conclusion to the James Gunn franchise with
You
Marvel.
want to do a spoiler-free review?
Yeah.
'Cause I
So
don't wanna-
spoiler-free review. I'm sure you've heard the rabble that this movie does deal with animal torture, and it is off-putting to some people. I understand that, but if you were to put that aside, holy fuck, I love this movie. It's a rocket story. What I like about it, it feels small. It doesn't feel like a cosmic threat. I like the High Evolutionary as the villain. I thought he was fantastic. Just very.
One second.
You got the angelic glow. But the High Evolutionary, I thought was a fantastic villain. Probably one of my favorite Marvel villains now. Probably top 5. Just very intense every time he's on screen, and he just does not care. Almost like a Dr. Monroe type thing. He just doesn't care. He creates and he destroys if it's imperfect. And we follow Rocket. It had a great conclusion. I thought there was going to be people who died. That didn't happen.
Free.
It's fine. Yeah, it's a shut up and take my money for me. It's.
I've heard that people are praising the shit out of this movie.
It is a great.
The Snyder fans are saying, I'm so sorry to keep bringing up Snyder, but y'all are just like all over Twitter, and it's like my entire feed is you hating everything, and it's just I went to dinner and I met my sister's dating someone. I met him for the first time. I was at dinner with him. And I was trying to find stuff to talk about, and I was like, "So you heard about these Snyder fans?" And I don't have a problem with loving Snyder, but you guys are hardcore, and it like consumes my timeline. Right. I have discussed his movies more than I've discussed any other movie.
Wow.
I mean, I can point to now. I know more about them than any other comic book movie. I can explain to you why Batman vs Superman is the difference. It's like he's. Apparently Snyder's a big fan of what's her name? Aaron Rand, the person who wrote what's that book that she wrote?
Who?
Don't
ask me names
Rand
of things.
Or whatever her name is.
I have no idea.
Oh come on, she's super. Yeah, Ayn Rand, most famous for writing. Oh, come the fuck on. Atlas Shrugged.
Okay.
Jesus Christ. Fountainhead, Anthem. You don't know this person?
I don't know any of these noises that you're making.
Oh. She's like
I'm pulling a Joe right now. I'm pulling a Joe where I'm just
if you're into literature, she's known for pushing forth the idea of objectivism.
Okay.
Snyder is a big Ayn Rand fan.
Okay.
I've talked about her a lot, but if you watch Batman vs Superman, you realize that Snyder likes a lot of metaphors and stuff like that.
Right.
He's pushing the metaphors of Ayn Rand's point of view. So if you look at it like this makes a lot of sense. His Superman is an objectivism Superman. He's an objectivist.
Okay.
Classic Superman is altruism.
Yes.
And that's the difference. And that's why people are like, and I think the people who like Snyder's things, they like that idea of an objectivist Superman versus an altruistic Superman.
Interesting.
So, like, for example, Pa Kent.
Pa Kent, right.
Yeah, like, you shouldn't have stayed with children.
Right.
Because the ethics is you have to serve yourself first, and it's a I am butchering this, but it's a rejection of that idea of putting others before you at all costs.
Right.
And I think that's where this dichotomy between they call them true DC fans or something like that. And the Snyder cult or something. Yeah, they've all gotten groups. It's so dumb. But anyway, that's the thing. But and I think it's interesting to have a movie where it's an objectivist Superman. I'm totally on board, and um, but I understand why people like the uh the altruistic Superman. I
The,
mean, that's
the
my
the Adventures of Superman, I think, is my favorite version of Superman. The animated version, that is the version of Superman in my head.
yeah. Here's a quote from uh Britannica.com.
Hmm.
Um, so understood selflessness is fundamental virtue. Objectivist ethics is thus a form of ethical egoism. Conversely, altruism, which Rand characterized as the placing of others above self, of their interest above their of one's own, is precisely negation of the virtuous activity and is therefore a fundamental vice. So that's, I think, the what's being explored here.
I
Um,
like the animated Superman. Both both sides are wrong. I am the one who is superior.
well,
Right,
the anime one, the animated Superman is closer to the altruistic
right,
version.
exactly.
Um,
I knew what I said, but
but yeah, it's just
good on them for just. I don't know. Well, I'm sure most of these people have jobs and they go to work and they put their pants
well,
on.
to watch our show. I mean, like these are people that we've befriended. Rob is a good example. Most of his Twitter is him defending the Batman Superman thing, like Snyder's films,
Hmm.
and like you see it pop up in the feed all the time. I mean, these people love those films, but I mean, come on, man. Like,
The
I hope more stuff gets made, and maybe it will one day. But I'm excited for the James
Actually,
Gunn stuff.
honestly, my favorite version of Superman is Injustice Superman because it's what happens when he has
Really,
that bad
that's
day.
an interesting statement
So,
to make.
so you know what it is? It's we've seen the Blue Boy Scout, we've seen the Ultra Superman, but what
Well, we've
happens?
seen lots of evil Superman too.
Right,
You
but
can't say we
I like this one because it has a tragic origin. I guess he was an easier target for the Joker to manipulate. The reason why is because he got tired of always getting beaten by Batman. So it's I like that premise. I really like that premise, and it just shows what happens when somebody's just pushed too far. And Superman wasn't. That's like a Batman thing. Batman will, though he has in various universes, but core Batman doesn't break. He's almost unbreakable. He will push himself to whatever limit, to whatever he needs to do to get himself through it, but he will always come out on top. And
I just like I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. I almost think Superman should have even. I kn- that they came up with an excellent like what would cause this to happen,
right, right.
and I think they nailed it.
And what was
Um,
great about Injustice is that in that universe, Batman killed somebody. I think he killed. In one universe, he killed the Joker, but after he killed the Joker, he turned himself in.
mhm.
So that shows the difference in the two.
Well, what I'm saying is though, I think they came up with a good explanation, but I think in my head, Superman should have still risen above it because he is that
Yeah,
person.
I get
Um,
it.
but my favorite version of Superman is probably, I would say, All Star, just because it combines it well enough that he's that Boy Scout Superman,
Right.
and it was just done well.
Hmm.
Um, so I would say All Star for me, and I would like to see. That's what I'm excited to see in James Gunn
Right.
movie is that he's taking inspiration from that. Another thing I saw popping up a lot on Twitter this week is even if you're not familiar with the comic, I'm sure you've seen this panel
Hmm.
where it's the girl and she's standing on the ledge and she's about to commit suicide. And then Superman lands behind her. She's like kind of goth.
Mm-hmm.
And then Superman lands behind her and he's like, "Hey, your doctor really was delayed. I'm so sorry." And he's like, "But I'm here to help you." And then he like holds her and stuff like that. It's like him saving. They kind of referenced it in The Boys with that, but
With
like
that one scene for like his birthday, he has to do
yeah.
a.
So And yeah, I mean, I think that's the difference. Snyder Superman's got more important shit. Where I don't think he should have. Superman should go and help someone that's having a bad day. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
so I think he's just dealing with the like God's thinking objectivity, I guess. Whereas
yeah.
of course, Superman is more of so he tried to make a God character. That's what it is.
Well,
He
again,
created
yeah,
the
but I mean,
objective
an
God character.
objectivist Superman would reject that because while he's helping this one girl, he could be, doing something. He could be
Right,
doing something for him or doing
right.
something. And yeah, I get that, but I don't know. I mean, I think there's something to be said about stopping to take the time to take a cat out of a tree and give it to a little girl.
But see, that's like Golden Era Superman.
But no, but he did it in All Star. He did
Oh,
it in the Reeves movie.
nice. Oh yeah, he did in the Freeze
Um,
movie.
yeah, I mean, and that's what I like. Yeah, like one of my favorite moments. This is Spider Man, but I forget which Spider Man movie, but it was where that one kid's being bullied and he just walks him home.
Right,
Because yes, the big moments of stopping tornadoes and shit and whatever,
right.
but the
It's the little
those
things also.
the little things, yeah. I
Right,
mean, walking a kid home so he doesn't get bullied is like kind of a beautiful moment.
right,
And it tells you a lot about the character.
right. I would totally do that if I was Spider Man.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, I would do it if I was Superman.
Right.
Except I would pick you up and be like, "Oh, da, da,
Do-do-do.
da."
Anyways, we are at that mark, so we should probably wrap it. So for those who watched today, thanks for watching, and for those who will tune in, thanks for watching. Join us next week.
Yeah, I'll just do another shout out. It looks like when I closed it, we lost it, but you can see it on Twitter, and if you go back to the beginning of the episode, you'll see the links. At Bending Frames, Sean. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're planning to watch this later, hope you enjoyed it. And then also, Little Mermaid. Check out their Kickstarter; just went live. Looks hilarious to me. I would love to buy the comic.
Right.
And it looks like if you donate $20 to it's not a Kickstarter, but it's like I think it's like support comics, another basically Kickstarter.
Right.
Yeah, but if you support $20, it looks like you'll get a hard copy, $10 for the digital copy. But I would very much like to see his comic get made. The art looks great, and it looks hilarious.
Cool.
And then so what we got? So next week we'll be back. We are back, right?
Yeah, we are back.
You're not going to Vegas last minute, or
No Vegas. God, finally.
So we've got who are we fighting again?
Bender versus Conan the Barbarian, and then we will be reviewing 65 and much, much more. We like to end the show with a nerdy quote by Mr. Frosty. Close us out, buddy.
In any war, there are calms between storms. There will be days when we lose faith, days when our allies turn against us, but the day will never come that we forsake this planet and its people.
Good night, everybody.